Well, hello there, Kabbalists. Get ready for the best top 50 you will ever hear this year. It is mine. It is made by the alien brain that is me, and we're going to kick it off with 50 through 41. Go! WARBAND, Against the Darkness. All right, well, let's kick it off with number 50, which is WARBAND, Against the Darkness. This is a game that is a definite sleeper. I remember playing this at Gen Con and I saw it and I was like, this is not going to be that good. But I'll tell you, I love the way you manage your troops. You increase their power. You level them up essentially into other unit types. You can send scouts out onto the map to either help your troops or to gain more information that's going on. The fact that you're all kind of not fighting amongst each other, you're fighting against these monsters and trying to be the best monster killer. And every race has a very distinct power that is important to follow. I hate games where your race has a power and it's like, well, I don't even need to worry about it. In this game, you got to leverage that benefit and really take advantage of it. I think you should really check this game out. It is really good. Really, really good. Dead Man's Draw. Well, we're going to move into a party game now, Dead Man's Draw. And this game is important to me because it's a game I can get pretty much anybody to play. Even if they don't like the pirate theme, the fact that it's a push your luck game where you're flipping cards, and the fact that you're flipping cards and the cards are pirate themed, but they all have different abilities and some are good and some are bad. And even some of the good ones you might not want because they just will mess up your strategy. And I love push your luck games. Gambling, I love gambling. I love push your luck because there is a certain kind of stress in it that I really enjoy. And it's fun to root for somebody else to bust, right? If you flip over two of the same cards, you want somebody else to bust, you're cheering for them to bust, and then you're rooting for yourself not to. A lot of fun. If you have not checked out Dead Man's Draw, go out and get it. Potion Explosion. Well, Potion Explosion was an interesting game because I saw it at Cool Mini or Not Expo, and I thought, neat looking, but I can't imagine that it's going to be actually interesting gameplay because I was like, it looks like Bejeweled or Candy Crush, the board game, and I don't really like either of those games. But when I sat down and played it, I reluctantly sat down. I had such a blast. It was really, there was a lot of depth into figuring out which marble you're going to take from the tray to create this cascade of effects to get everything you need. I love the fact that there are potions you're brewing, and not only do you brew them, but they actually give you special powers. Wow. So it's not like you're just doing it for points. You're doing it because it might give you a power that could benefit your strategy. I love the fact that I can bring this out to people who don't like gaming, but they like Candy Crush. And I can say, well, you want to try this game out? And they tend to like it. It's actually surprisingly, the people who don't like it are usually heavier gamers. So Potion Explosion, check it out. They've got a really cool new box. Near and Far. All right, coming in at 47 is Near and Far, a Ryan Lockett game. And I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of Ryan Lockett on the Founders Top 50s because we love everything about it. We love the storytelling aspect. We love the artwork that he does himself. We just love everything about the games. The mechanics are really cool. I really dig how Near and Far has a campaign mode with this big giant book of maps that you can move around and experience stories at different locations that intertwine. You're building your army of guys that are going to help you out. And I think it's fantastic. Now, the only reason I put this low on my list is that I don't have a huge drive to come back and play it because once you play a map, you've kind of seen all the locations. The stories for the locations are tied to that location. And once you do them, they're gone. So it's not like you can go down the caverns and get something completely different. That's my only beef with the game. But otherwise, I love it. Ryan Lockett, great job. Too Many Bones. Well, let me tell you about this game. This game is the junkies game, and I am a junkie. I was not interested in it until our buddy, he got a copy and I saw it and the production value was so beautiful. I had to have it. Wow, it's expensive, but I'll tell you, it's worth every penny. Too Many Bones, where you play all these different characters that are going on missions and you have choices to make and they all have different powers. My favorite thing about this game is how it manages stats. I love the fact that everybody has this beautiful neoprene mat with squares cut out in it that correspond to all these different skills, and you take these dice and you put them in the slot and then you can level things up. The combat's really cool. It's just amazing. And like I said, the production quality is, it's just the best I've ever seen. Chip Theory rocked it with this game. Defenders of the Realm. I like myself some games where you are fighting against this onslaught of bad guys and you're working together with your friends. This game is all about that. All the heroes that you play are trying to protect the main city from these rolling hordes of monsters that are coming at you. And they all have different kind of abilities. Their leaders have different stats, but the leaders are constantly marching. They're a constant threat coming at you. It's fascinating to me how fast the game can turn on you. You can feel like you have everything under control, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we didn't even think about that. We got to go worry about that. You have all the cards that you can go and kill this guy. So like you got to go out there and take care of him, and I'll work on reducing the number of their followers around the board so we don't lose by that. There's so many things you have to pay attention to in this game that it never feels boring to me. I never feel like there's nothing for me to do and nothing for me to be good at. I feel like I have value to the group. And that to me in a co-op is very, very important. It's what makes co-ops enjoyable for everybody. Definitely check out Defenders of the Realm. Very good game. Defenders of the Last Stand is also good, but you know, I like apocalyptic themes, but I love the fantasy theme of this game. It's the Defenders game I want to play. It's so good. At the Gates of Loyang. Well, for number 44, this is the one that really made me think my opinion of games has changed so much, and I have not noticed it until I put At the Gates of Loyang at number 44 on my list. This used to be in my top 10. I don't understand what has changed in my mind that when I did my top 50, this ended up in number 44. Now, it still ended up on my list, which is, thank God. So yeah, Gates of Loyang. It's a farming game. This is a game I played after Agricola. You're playing merchants that are farming and trying to fulfill orders for your clients. And do it in the best way possible. You're recruiting assistants, you're building your farm out and picking kind of how you want to progress. Do you want to go for the hard veggies or do you want to go for the weak veggies, like the cheap ones that are easy to grow? Very, very fun for me. And the reason I think I like it so much is that Agricola was just a little unforgiving for me. It was a little too much. Like the food, we hated the food. The beggar cards being like the worst thing you can get. You get a beggar card, you lose the game. This, At the Gates of Loyang, I think is a little more forgiving. It reminds me of Agricola Light, kind of. Still has a great place in my heart. And if anything, it's just because it got me, it was like the first Euro I really started to be good at. Really good. It's on my shelf of pride. And I haven't gotten in. I think I got it a play in the past 6 months, and that's about it. But still, every time I bring it out, I have a good time. Very good. I like it. I think it's a good game to get people into Euros because it can kind of ease them into a medium weight, heavier than what they might be used to. Really cool game. Uwe Rosenberg did great with this. I won't say it's my favorite of his, but still, it's in my top Uwe Rosenberg games. CAVERNA. Well, we're going to continue with the Uwe Rosenberg. I have a couple on my list because he just does Euros so good. And I have definitely become a Euro fanatic. I just love the brain burniness of a good Euro. And Caverna, to me, where you're playing these dwarves and you have a choice of essentially focusing on the mines or focusing out in the forest. It's so cool because you're laying tiles out, you're building rooms, and I love city building games, and this gives me the feel of a city building game. Every room does different things. You can focus on mining and getting lots of gems and focusing on that aspect of the game and building out your living space. Or you can focus on farming and your livestock and building up your livestock. And typical Uwe Rosenberg, it rewards diversity. I never felt like the one problem I had with Agricola, well, I had many problems with Agricola. There's a reason we call it Misery Farm. But the one problem that I always drove that always drove me crazy was that you could win the game and your farm looks like a mess. It's just, Tony's really good at Agricola, and every time he'd win, I'd look at his farm and it's just this mishmash of nonsense. But it scored well. In Caverna, I don't feel that. I feel like it makes sense. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it splits up the mining and living space with the field space. I definitely check it out. It's higher on my list than At the Gates of Loyang because I would like to play it more than I would like to play At the Gates of Loyang. I just think it's more fun. It's just a fun game. Check out Caverna if you're an Uwe Rosenberg fan or even a fan of like medium weight farming games. Check this game out. ESCHATON. This game, ESCHATON, where you're going out and you're expanding and trying to beat back your opponents and control territories on the board. Meanwhile, you're building your deck of bad guys, monsters, essentially. They're none of them are really good people. And you're also going out and cursing the opponents. You're plaguing the opponents. You're trying to hinder them as best as you can. I found this game insanely rewarding, especially because of the fact that you have limited number of troops. One thing I like in a territory control game is when you have limited troops, it makes it very important about where you put them. It's not like a game where you have as many as you want and you can just go out and spread across the world if other people will let you. In this game, you have to be tight. If you want to control a territory, you better make sure it's controlled. And you better make sure that you don't want to be going somewhere else. Very, very fun game that I thought had a lot of player interaction. I've only played it twice. I will say that. But I think there is a lot to this game that I can explore. And that's why I wanted it on the Secret Cabal Christmas list. Because it's just fun and beautiful. The artwork is so cool. I really, really dig ESCHATON. Far Space Foundry. Well, number 41, as we get to a close of the 40s, Far Space Foundry. This game has a feature in it that I think is very intriguing. And that is you have to plan for the next phase of the game. The first phase of the game, you're sending your ships out and you're mining resources and bringing them back to the station, collecting cards you're essentially building a deck of cards that will help you get what you need. And then at some point in the game, it changes to a manufacturing. You take all those resources that you mined in the first half of the game, and now you're going to produce goods and sell those goods. So if you don't plan properly in the first phase, you're going to do terrible in the second phase of the game. Now, the one issue with this is that you almost need to play it twice. There are some players who will not understand that planning process until they experience failing miserably when they get to the second phase. That's what I did the first time. I wasn't expecting it. But the second time I played, knowing that, it was so rewarding. It's almost like I built an engine in the first phase that I didn't even get to experience until we got to the second phase. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm playing a whole nother game here. And the first engine I built really, really rewarded me. Very cool concept. I don't think I've seen it in many other games done in this way, where it essentially is two games that play out in the same amount of time. Really had a great time playing this game. Want to get it back to the table, but I think it's another one of those sleeper games. I don't think it gets enough love. I know that other founders dig this game, and I think I'm just going to twist their arm and make them bring it back to the table. Well, Cabalists, that was my 40s section of my top 50, number 50 through 41. Come back tomorrow and I'm going to go over my 30s. So we're going to go from 40 to 31, a whole plethora of some of the best games out there, in my opinion. So check us out again tomorrow. I'll see you then.
Thanks so much, everybody. If you've enjoyed this video, please do us a giant favor by subscribing to the channel and clicking that wacky bell icon. If you're into board games, miniatures games, role-playing games, we have a bunch of audio podcasts you might enjoy. You can find those at thesecretcabal.com or on iTunes and Stitcher.